text her, she sees it, then disappears. No reply, no explanation. Just silence that eats at you. You tell yourself you don't care, but you keep checking that screen. Every few minutes, every hour. That's not strength. That's hunger disguised as patience. Stop chasing ghosts. When a woman ignores you, she's watching what you do next. She wants to see if you crumble or if you hold your frame. So don't post stories to get her attention. Don't send follow-ups. Don't explain. Don't demand. Withdraw. Go silent with purpose. Silence is power when it comes from control, not pain. You train your mind to detach. You remind yourself that her approval changes nothing about your worth. This is where most men fail. They try to win her back instead of winning themselves back. The question now is simple. Can you stay still when your ego screams to move? Point number 1, when she vanishes. When she vanishes, what breaks first, your heart or your ego? You tell yourself she's just busy, that she'll text back. But deep down, you know the truth. It's 2 a.m. You're staring at your phone, waiting for a message that isn't coming. You scroll through old conversations, trying to find where it went wrong. You replay her words, her tone, the silence that followed. And that silence feels like punishment. This is the moment where most men crumble. They take her absence as a verdict. They start chasing, posting, proving, explaining. Every move screams weakness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. In Rome, that truth was survival. Today, it's the same. Different century, same test. Back then, a man's worth was measured by his composure under pressure. Not his charm, not his words, but his stillness when the storm hit. Now your storm comes through a glowing screen. You fight ghosts made of pixels and pride. She vanished to see what remains when attention is gone. And what remains is the real you. If that emptiness makes you desperate, you haven't mastered yourself. If it makes you silent, you're evolving. You must learn to let the void sit in front of you and not fill it with noise. You must face that mirror at the gym, eyes cold, heartbeat steady, and remember you never needed her response to exist. Your stability is your message. Train your silence. Ask yourself, are you the kind of man who reacts to loss, or the kind who absorbs it and grows harder to shake? Because when she vanishes, it's not a rejection, it's an initiation. And if you can endure that silence without losing your frame, the next test won't even touch you. Now the question shifts. What do you do when the chase turns inward? Point number 2, the impulse to chase. Why do you chase what's walking away? You know it's beneath you, yet you still reach. You tell yourself it's love, but it's control wearing a different face. You sit in your car outside her place, pretending it's coincidence. You stare at her online status, hoping for a green dot. You scroll through her photos, comparing yourself to men who don't even exist in her world. Every action screams the same truth. You're afraid of being unseen. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He meant that the chain isn't on your wrist, it's in your reaction. The ancient warrior stood still while chaos burned around him. You panic over a read receipt. The time may have changed, but the test hasn't. The chase feeds your ego, not your peace. It gives you something to do instead of something to face. Because when you stop chasing, the silence gets loud. And that silence shows you the hole you've been trying to fill with her attention. Let her run. If she values you, she'll stop. If she doesn't, she'll fade. Either way, you win by doing nothing. Stillness is your counterattack. When you want to text, wait. When you want to explain, breathe. When you want to chase, walk the other direction. Every time you resist, you build control. Every time you fold, you lose ground. Train your restraint. Ask yourself, are you moving toward peace or just running from the emptiness she left behind? Because the impulse to chase is the trap every weak man falls into. But the man who stands still, who absorbs the silence, who refuses to dance for attention, that man becomes untouchable. And as you stand in that calm, a new question rises. What does real power look like when silence becomes your weapon? Point number 3, power in silence. What do you think happens when you stop talking? When you stop explaining, defending, chasing? Most men can't handle that kind of quiet. It exposes who they really are. You sit in your room, phone on the table, no messages coming in. You feel that tension in your chest, the pull to reach out. You start typing, deleting, typing again. That's the noise inside you begging for validation. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Bravery isn't found in confrontation. It's found in silence, in restraint. The ancient Stoics understood this long before screens existed. They faced exile, loss, death, and still held their tongue. Not out of weakness, but because power never explains itself. In your world, silence unsettles people. It makes them question what you're thinking, what you feel. They expect you to react, to prove you still care. But when you stay silent, you shift the balance. Control returns to you. Silence forces others to confront themselves. It shows them what life feels like without your attention. And more importantly, it shows you what peace feels like without their noise. Stop using words to beg for clarity. Stop explaining your worth. You don't need to announce your value. You need to embody it. Power isn't loud. It's quiet, composed, steady. It's walking away without a sound and knowing she'll feel it anyway. Train your quiet. Ask yourself, can you sit in your own silence long enough for it to make others uneasy? Because silence isn't absence. It's presence without permission. It's the moment your energy becomes too controlled to chase, too calm to provoke. And that's when your power stops needing to speak. Now the question becomes, when the silence settles, who are you without her echo? Point number 4, winning yourself back. When was the last time you felt proud of yourself without anyone watching? Not for money, not for praise, not for her approval. Just proud because you held your own. That's where it begins. Not in revenge, not in showing her what she lost, but in reclaiming the parts of you that you traded for attention. You stopped training when she pulled away. You stopped sleeping, eating right, focusing. You made her silence your purpose. That's how you lose yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." He didn't say talk about it. He said live it, and that's what winning yourself back means. It's not noise, it's action. Start small, wake up early, clean your space, go to the gym, rebuild your body, because that's how you rebuild your mind. Every disciplined act is a message to yourself. I'm back. You can't control who leaves. You can only control who remains when they do. And that person needs to be someone you can respect. She doesn't need to see your progress. She's not your audience anymore. Your life is the proof. Your silence is the statement. When you stop needing her attention, you start attracting everything that belongs to your new level. You don't chase, you don't explain, you don't beg. You build. Train your focus. Ask yourself, are you becoming the man she ignored, or the man who no longer needs to be noticed? Because winning yourself back isn't about her returning. It's about you returning. The man who had standards. The man who could walk away and not look back. And when you stand in that version again, calm and steady, one truth becomes clear. You never lost her. You only forgot yourself. You've seen what happens when you chase, when you react, when you let silence control you. But you've also seen what it looks like when you take that power back. When you stop reaching for someone else's attention and start building your own peace, everything shifts. This video wasn't about her. It was about you. About the man who's learning to sit in stillness, hold his frame and move with purpose again. If you felt something in these words, it means you're already on that path. Thank you for being here, for watching, and for choosing to grow when it would have been easier to stay broken. This channel exists for men like you, men who value strength, clarity, and control. If this message hit home, take a second to like the video and subscribe. Not for numbers, but because every time you do, it helps this space reach more men who need to hear this truth. And if something in this video spoke to your own story, drop it in the comments. Your words might be the one thing another man needs to hear tonight. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.